Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Well, it's Mother's Day in the Dwyer household, and what does that mean? It's morning. It means that just when I was about to do a video, I got handed one of my kids. You might hear a cat in the background. During this video, someone might actually stop by to take my daughter. It's that kind of morning. Of course, it's the morning after the Saul Alvarez victory over Amir Khan, and I'm trying to get a video done. So remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. I got enough going on in my life, right? Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, if you're a teacher or have ever been a teacher, a camp counselor, right, with kids as excited as mine, right, a parent with more than one child. In other words, let's say you have a child who's an overachiever, who's more organized than the other child, right, who gets better grades. That doesn't necessarily mean they're the more talented child, right? You might have a kid who's more talented, with more upside, who loses focus from time to time. What do I mean by more upside? Right, just compare, let's say, someone like Tom Brady, who is a master, who's well organized, with someone like Cam Newton, who on a given Sunday is going to move much better outside of the pocket than Tom Brady, who has the better arm than Tom Brady, and who can put together a 5-touchdown performance on occasion like he did against the Giants. Now, let me just say this. I know it's unpopular. Let me first say I'm going to critique these fighters. Why? Not because I hate either fighter, but because here on this site we try to critique elite fighters. That's the point. You're being judged here because you're an elite fighter, because you're someone who has had a belt, or who is in line for a big fight, or in line for a belt. Right? So I'm going to say some things that some fans aren't going to like, right? That's just the way it is, right? This is the rough neighborhood part of the internet. Well, let me just say, I know Amir Khan lost yesterday, right? I was expecting Amir Khan to win the fight, but I'm okay because the hedge of Canelo by KO won, right? In other words, I thought Canelo had one way of winning the fight, and he delivered on that one way, right? So I'm okay. I was hedged. But let me say, Amir Khan has more talent than Saul Alvarez. If you watching this fight on your scorecard, it's a 12-round fight, had Amir Khan winning 4 rounds by the time of the knockout, just understand that Amir Khan would have only needed to win 2 more rounds. The rest of the fight, over the last 7 rounds of the fight, just 2 more rounds to get a draw with the middleweight champion. Right? Khan wasn't doing anything that remarkable. He was just showing his game. And understand, his game had him winning round after round. Right? Round after round. Right? Too much hand speed. Too much foot speed. Too much boxing. Dare I say, too much talent for Saul Alvarez. Now let's go one step further, right? Let's make this as simple as possible. And let me point out, by the way, Teddy Atlas was dead on this fight. He said he expected Amir Khan to win the early rounds. In other words, boxing heads understood. If this turns into a boxing match, right, Amir Khan should win it. But Atlas said Khan is going to make a mistake. He's going to lose focus. He's going to lose focus. Maybe I'm going to have my kid the entire video. He's going to lose focus. And Atlas thought he was going to get caught later in the fight. Khan lost focus. Let's talk about how he lost focus, and let's make it simple, right? If it's raining outside and you're under a tree, you'll notice, a tree with leaves, you'll notice that there are parts under the tree where if you stand, you get wet. There are other parts under the tree where if you stand, you stay dry. Right? There are places, there's safe harbors under the tree where you're going to be protected from the rain by the leaves. Boxing's the same way. Right? It's the same way. Right? In baseball, they'll put up for each batter a grid that shows a batter's hot zones, where he gets hits if the ball's pitched in that zone. Boxing's the same way. So Saul Alvarez, as I've said here for years, he's one of the hardest punchers in boxing. Right? One of the hardest punchers in boxing. His best punch, in my opinion, is not the punch he hit Amir Khan with yesterday. His best punch is his left hook. Right? It's compact. It's not a leaping Joe Frazier left hook. In other words, he doesn't have ring coverage with the left hook. Right? But up close, he could nearly decapitate you. Think the Carlos Baldomir fight with the left hook. Or he could completely decimate your rib cage with that left hook if he throws it to the body, as he did against Shane Mosley. Now his right hand is different. Now let me say this. So with the left, if you're fighting Saul Alvarez and you're on his left side, your safe harbor, where you want to be, right, before he throws a punch. In football, they call it pre-snap. Here we'll call it, let's coin a phrase, pre-punch. Right? You want to be standing from distance if you're on Alvarez's left side. Right? You can't even play a three-dimensional game because Alvarez can lower the shoulder and hit you with a withering body shot with that left hand. So you want to be from distance on his left side. Now on his right side, it's a little bit different. Right? It's completely different. On his right side, he has ring coverage. He can hit you with a hard, straight overhand right if you're from distance on him. Right? That's what closed the show yesterday. But understand, he's not sudden like Sean Porter. Right? It's not like with Porter, you look across the street, Sean Porter's across the street. Then you turn around and Sean Porter, just like in a horror movie, is right here. Right? His foot speed's that sudden. With Canelo, you look across the street, he's across the street. When you look back over, he's still across the street. It's just that he has a long bomb that he can throw and hit you from across the street. Right? So he has ring coverage with his right hand. Right? From distance. But you understand that there are ways around it. So let's talk about two fights that Saul Alvarez had, both of which went 12 rounds, with guys who didn't stand long range from Canelo's right hand, like Amir Khan did in the 6th round, and then get hit. Hold on one second. Hey, baby, can you take her? Hey, great, thanks. All right. Now, you'll notice in the Cotto fight, right, Cotto is coming up on Saul Alvarez's right side. Just look at the tape. Right? He's staying away from Alvarez's left side. Right? That's the danger zone up close. He understands that Alvarez has ring coverage up top with his right hand. Right? Up top. Right? So what Cotto does is Cotto comes over on Alvarez's right side, comes in close on the right side. Right? Now, Alvarez does have a right hook to the body, but he seems to need to throw right, left, right, left. Now, I know the judges thought Cotto lost the fight. Understand there's some who thought Cotto won the fight. Nacho Beristain. I've mentioned the people who thought he won the fight in a pre-fight video. Right? Cotto goes 12 rounds. He's never hit hard with the long, flat-footed, overhand right that finishes Amir Khan, because he's never in that hot zone. Right? Let's talk Floyd Mayweather. Now understand Mayweather, and again, these are things that guys are doing before Canelo throws punches to control the pacing and effectiveness of Canelo. Right? Mayweather actually stands in front of Canelo. Right? But he bends. Right? Look at that first round. Mayweather's outside, then he'll bend and he'll throw punches to Canelo's body. Right? Understand Mayweather knew that Saul Alvarez's right hand is great up top from distance. Right? Think about how he hit Austin Trout. Right? Right hand up top from distance. So Mayweather, who's a master, is in front of Canelo, but when he's in line with the right hand, he's bending. Saul Alvarez can't throw it. Right? Now, that's what Hall of Fame opponents are doing against Saul Alvarez. Right? Let me also add that Alvarez has an excellent uppercut. We'll save that for another time. Doesn't apply to this Amir Khan fight. Right? Now, Amir Khan, for some odd reason, loses focus in the 6th round, as he does from time to time throughout his career. Right? He left this fight on the table, folks. I'm positive that everyone in his corner understands that as easy as the first 4 rounds were, the rest of the fight could have been. Right? Too much speed, too much foot speed, too much talent. But somehow, Amir Khan is on Canelo's right side, standing up. He's upright. He's not bent. Right? He doesn't create a small window for Canelo to hit him with. In other words, he's not bobbing. Right? He's not bent. Rather, he gives Saul Alvarez, who, look at the way he throws the punch. He leans into it. He's flat-footed. He gives Saul Alvarez a clean shot on him. It's clean. Right? As Alvarez reaches back to throw the punch, this is how all-in Alvarez is. And as he leans on his front foot, just like a pitcher, a major league pitcher does, and as he throws the punch, you're going to notice that Amir Khan is so momentarily confused that he actually puts his hands out to block a low right hand. You'll actually notice that it looks like he's putting his hands up to catch a shot that's thrown here. Not a head shot. Not up top. Right? So he gets hit up top in the head flush by one of the hardest punchers in the sport. Right? Game, set, match. I'll just put it this way. This is boxing. It's not basketball. In basketball, you could get away with a bad quarter. It's not baseball. In baseball, you could get away with a bad inning. In boxing, we don't allow you to get away with a bad moment like this against a hard puncher. Right? If you're looking for a fight that demonstrates one punch knockout power, this is it. Amir Khan leaves himself unprotected on Saul Alvarez's right side up top for a moment. Saul Alvarez goes flat-footed, leans his entire body into it, and from distance, they're not close together, from distance, Alvarez is able to turn his shoulder, get full leverage, and end the fight. Right? Let me just say, too, for those of you thinking ahead to Alvarez-Golovkin, one of the secrets to Golovkin, look at him in the early rounds, is that Golovkin doesn't jump right in. I know his fights end early. Look at the first minute of the fights. Right? He doesn't jump right in. What he does is he stands under your tree in the safe zones, right? He's standing outside, but he's standing in places where you can't hit him with your A punch, right? Let me say this too. Let me back up a little bit. Alvarez's left side, power shots up close. He does have a great jab, but that jab is gonna sting. It's gonna hurt you. It's not gonna knock you out. Right? It's not going to knock you out. Amir Khan should have been more over to Saul Alvarez's left side. He shouldn't have been in line, and that's what he is. He's right in line with Saul Alvarez's straight right hand that Alvarez can throw up top from distance. Right? Now, how do we read the results of this fight? You know, the bottom line to me is that Amir Khan continues to have more foot speed, more hand speed, puts his punches together better. He continues to have more talent than Saul Alvarez. He made a mistake yesterday. I know he was a greater than 3-1 underdog. I know the Saul Alvarez side of the play delivered, right? I know Vegas expected the knockout. I believe the odds on Alvarez by KO were less than even money. Okay, great. Saul Alvarez delivered. If we're going to handicap Alvarez going forward, we have to also concede that this fight doesn't show that Saul Alvarez has above average foot speed. Right? That's all Alvarez did in this fight, the same thing he did in the Austin Trout fight. The difference is Trout got up off the canvas. Right? But Alvarez certainly has ring coverage from his right hand from distance. Right? It lulls a lot of fighters to sleep and then it takes them out. Right? History, I'm sure, is going to forget Khan's fast start to this fight. You shouldn't. Because when a guy with more talent like Amir Khan is an underdog in a fight against, let's say, a guy with a bigger punch, right? Just understand that those are the kind of fights where, okay, Khan lost this one. But those are the kind of fights where upsets can win it outright, right? Underdogs can win. I'm just telling you, Khan remains one of the more talented boxers in the sport. If you're opposite Amir Khan, understand Khan has fewer safe harbors for an opponent than does Saul Alvarez, right? A technician. Someone like a Billy Joe Saunders, right? Guys who spend their living figuring out where the safe harbors are. Right? Those guys will know how to handle Saul Alvarez. Right? Floyd Mayweather didn't get lucky when he fought Saul Alvarez. Right? If Floyd comes back and fights Saul Alvarez, understand that while I have my doubts about Floyd against Amir Khan, for example, too fast, no time to think, not a lot of safe harbors. Right? Victor Postal. Right? Fast combination fighter, younger, fresher, might try to step up on Floyd and actually throw combinations, right? And Postal, look at the Selçuk-Aiden fight, can throw uppercuts and a bevy of punches. While I have questions about whether an older fighter like Floyd could handle those young lions, as dramatic as Saul Alvarez's KO was of Amir Khan, right? I have no doubt that Floyd can handle, as he did in the past, Saul Alvarez's hand speed, punch selection, foot speed, etc. Right? In other words, the angles are the same. The risk is the same. Alvarez is a big puncher. But the holes in his game are the same. He delivered a straight right hand from distance that we knew he had. Right? This is like watching Vladimir Klitschko knock a guy out with a long right hand. Right? What we didn't see was the boxing ability that would have allowed him to compete with peak Amir Khan. Right? We saw what happens there. Khan has won at least four rounds. At least 4 rounds. By the time we're in the 6th and he gets stopped. Right? Had Khan avoided the punch, had Khan figured out not to stand upright, but to duck, right? To move a little bit, right? Have Canelo, who wants to plant his feet, have Canelo guessing on where to throw the punch, right? Had Khan, rather than done this for defense, had Khan gone like this, right? Had he moved vertically, think Pernell Whitaker. Look at those tapes. Right? If he had just dodged this punch, and I know boxing, this is what it comes down to. If he would have done that, if he would have done this, right? If George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle would have just taken a step back and said, Ali, get off the ropes. I'm not going to throw punches into your rope-a-dope. Right? If Khan would have just gotten by this punch, just understood, you know what? I'm over here now in line with Canelo's straight right hand. If he would have just, when he's over that side, just ducked a little bit, just bent at the waist, thought, okay, if he's going to throw that overhand right, force him to throw it low to take the power out of it. If he would have ducked that punch, and if instead of this being round 5, if he could have pushed this fight to round 8. What I want you to do is to look up Saul Alvarez's record and count the number of knockouts Alvarez has gotten after the start of the 8th round. Right? Instead, Khan got a little sloppy here. He lost focus momentarily, and he paid the price. I congratulate Saul Alvarez on his win. No question about it. I know the press is going to say, hey, this shows that Khan wasn't big enough. Right? Just remind all of them that the smaller man had won at least 4 of the rounds by the time this fight ended. Right? Shortly thereafter. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Right? Teddy Atlas was right. Khan was winning the fight handily, and then lost focus, right? I know the Khan people feel that this is a momentary loss of focus, right? I'm sure they understand that they would take this fight again tomorrow, because what they thought would happen did happen before the KO. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com if you feel my characterization of Saul Alvarez's skills is off point. Then in the comment section to this video, tell us where it's off point. Tell us what Saul Alvarez does that I'm not giving him credit for. If you feel Saul Alvarez is sudden, like Shawn Porter, and by sudden I mean, the guy can move. In other words, as Paulie Malignaggi found out, Shawn Porter's over there. Suddenly, here's Shawn Porter. Jumps up in your face. And he's close enough to land bombs. Right? If you feel Saul Alvarez has that type of foot speed, tell us the fight. Post a link to the fight. Guide us in that direction. Let me hear from you. I congratulate Saul Alvarez. Successful defense. Let's stop kidding ourselves. If you're the middleweight champion and you're defending your title, it's a middleweight title defense. I don't want to hear about 155 and all this other stuff. I'm not really a middleweight and stuff like that. I congratulate Saul Alvarez on his defense of his middleweight title. Right? He got the stoppage. I'm still not convinced he was the more talented fighter. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Thanks for stopping by.